Hey there, Daniel Markham, Theory Tuesday. This is the bonus edition of Theory Tuesday. We'll try something a little different. A friend of mine on Twitter said something that was kind of interesting, and I engaged, and I quickly realized that I can't do this in Twitter. I got to do this in a different format. So I'm going to try to make a video reply to my friend and see how that works. Okay, so my friend is Uncle Bob, the Bobster, Bob Martin, and he said, OO is not a mindset, nor a philosophy, nor a technique for modeling the real world. It is nothing more nor less than data structures manipulated by associated functions that are called indirectly through vectors. Deal with it. I kind of got that, boo, hey, kind of coming from Bob, but I'm going to get that a lot from Bob. Bob's that way. Bob's a nice guy. So I read this. I'm like, that's really interesting because it's true, false, and not relevant or not useful. And he said it's immensely relevant. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So what the Bobster here has done is he's described the innards of OO. Okay, so and that is certainly right. This is we have functions associated with data structures. No denying it. And that's that doesn't tell us how to program these things. It doesn't tell us what effect these things have on our way we code. Objects, classes are types, my friends. So when you create a customer, or whatever the hell kind of class you want to create, you're creating a new type for the system, whether you realize that or not. Okay, and so people are going to use that customer class as if it were int or long or string or whatever, because it's now a type, and you can have different instances of that type. And that's all well and fine. And there's a whole thing on which types to make and how to make types. And if you're my type, that's great, right? But you're making a type, and because you're making a type and giving it a name, what you're doing is you're telling yourself that the hunk of data structures and functions is what I consider to be a customer for the purposes of this application. That has an effect on you, the programmer. It has nothing to do with little bits and bytes running around in your machine. It's the fact that you're giving names to things that then you're using those names over and over again. That has an effect on the way you solve and think about things. Your programming language and IDE affects you more than you affect the code, and that's just the way it is. So Bob's right, and it's a class is just an object's just a poor man's closure, and a closure is a poor man's object, and everything's the same. We all live in harmony, and I think that probably the best way to use various programming paradigms is to understand their effect on us, the programmer, because at the end of the day, they're all von Neumann machines, and bits are bits and bytes are bytes, and may the great pumpkin bless us all. Because if once we get to the level Bob here is describing, it just nothing really matters anyway, except for describing the mechanics of how programming works. So the much more interesting thing is, how does this work in a team environment? How does this work on me, the programmer? It's the human interaction with the problem through the IDE and the language that makes a difference. So when people say, Bob asked me who did the F sharp video. He was like, what got you into F sharp? And my answer was startups. And this sort of amused him. But yet that's the answer, startups. And the reason why was I was interested in results. So I was interested in sitting down with people who had a problem needed to solve and immediately giving them something. And functional programming talked me into doing that ahead of categorizing the types of things I was using to give them something, which is just a different way of solving the problem. So that's how I got into functional programming. It made me think about problem solving a different way. I look at my friends doing OO work. I love OO work. They think about solving problems differently than I do when I'm in functional code. I would never, ever use the skills and techniques in functional programming in the OO world, nor would I do the vice versa, the inverse of that, because you're using the wrong mental paradigm, simply because you're assured at some point that little bits and bytes at the bottom level running the same. No, it's an interaction with the high level language, not what the hell thing looks like in the code. So Bob, you're right. You're wrong. I don't think you're relevant. I think the interesting question here that's not been asked is, how do we distinguish OO from functional programming? How do we decide to have a type? What do we put in these types? How do we move from one paradigm to the other if we want to do that? A lot of really cool questions that could have been asked. I think it was looked to me more like sort of a neener. Everything's the same. Oh, it's just as good as functional, and it is. But you just don't need the neener part. And by putting in those terms, you've kind of missed out on the most important part of the whole thing, simply by trying to, I don't know, reassure people that it's all the same. I mean, at some point, everything is the same, right? So if if we're going to keep going up or down in the tech stack, it's always going to just be kind of slate gray. Um, so we have to find the distinguishing factors instead of just saying, it's all the same. Okay, there's my little answer for Mr. Bob. I'll see if I can do all the uploading and stuff for that. I'm Daniel Markham. I'll see you on the internet.